Are there things that you've been trying to resolve in your life, but you end up trying to find the latest book, the best tactic, the best strategy in order for you to help yourself move forward that will help you create that lasting change that you've been craving for? Stay tuned, because in this episode, we're going to explore the pain of self-help and the benefits of getting help. Welcome, my friends, to another episode from Inside Treasures. In case you don't know me, my name is Phoebus, and I love to challenge myself and those around me for the purpose of growth. This podcast is about helping you to heal, to change, and to grow. Now, I'm going to have to be a little bit honest about myself here, because I have been a self-help junkie myself. I just love reading books. I like getting into them, reading the ideas, getting them through my head, and actually trying to see how reading this book is going to help me in my life, how it's going to help me challenge myself, how it's going to make me grow, how this new idea is going to give me a new perspective that will help me be a better person. And my wife often comes to me and says, "Why are you reading these silly books? Why are you reading another self-help book? What's the matter with you? You know these things. You know a lot of these things." And I'm thinking, well, you still get something out of it. And it's a pleasure to read these books. Absolutely. It's absolutely nice to read those self-help books and trying to find nuggets of wisdom that we can take away. So what happens is, like, these kinds of things, they appear to be useful, but they don't always work for me. Now, which were the times that it actually worked for me? It was by doing the simple exercises that there are in the book versus reading the whole book and never doing the exercises. It was about showing up. It was about trying the ideas in my life and seeing a way of how I can take those ideas and make them work for me by me putting the work in them. And that's the key with self-help books. They're great to read, but a lot of times that's where we stop. So what happens with reading a lot of this self-help books is that we get lost in the knowledge. We read book after book after book, and the whole goal becomes to finish the book. It doesn't become to take the knowledge, apply the knowledge. It's how can I finish this book, this course, this CD series? How can I make sure that I've actually listened to these things? Because I know that a lot of people are not even listening to this. So if I'm listening to this or reading this, then I'm getting the benefit of it, which other people don't. But what happens to the knowledge itself? Knowledge is not useful when it stays in our own mind. It's how we can apply it. And what happens is that we get into this addictive process of trying to consume and consume and consume and fill our minds. Now, the questions to ask when dealing with self-help books is like, how can I apply this to my life? How can I apply this book in general? What's its main concepts? How can I apply this book? Question yourself. What are the kinds of things that I can take from this book, from this paragraph, from this chapter? What are the kinds of things that I can actually use and apply in my life? How can I apply them? When can I apply them? Specific exercises, taking part in them, not just reading the chapter and finishing. Sometimes we say, well, I finished the book and then I'll do the exercises. And that at the moment feels like the right thing to do. But what most of us will notice is that we never really go back and do the exercises. The exercises still remain. The other fallacy of self-help books is the pride of the ego. The ego gets in the way. We're trying to figure things out by ourselves. And instead of being humble and asking for help, we go into the ego mode and being too proud that, you know what, I'm going to figure this out because I'm going to read the best books. I'm going to find the best information out there. And I'm going to make things work for me. But I'm going to be the one doing it. I don't want anyone else helping me. I don't want anyone else helping me move forward. You see, that's the trap that the ego lays. And it keeps us from asking for help, asking from someone from outside. The thing to keep in mind is, like, the most successful people, actually, they keep coaches and mentors around, whether it's Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Tony Robbins, you name them, whoever they are. They've had someone who's helped them out in their life or who's actually helping them out. So remember, asking for help is not a way of you feeling weak and useless. It's actually a way of empowering yourself. It's actually a way of tapping into other people's wisdom. What are the benefits of getting help then? When we're living our truth and we have our own narratives, we have our buy-in. We buy into our own narratives, and that's very hard to break from within until we develop some kind of awareness. When we talk about things, except that we let things off our chest, we have someone else with a third perspective actually look at their own truth, challenge our truth, make us more aware of that truth that we're living, and make us understand that there are different ways, different narratives that we can live and adopt. Adopting a third-person perspective is a lot harder when it's happening within our own view, within our first view. We always tend to have this first view look. Having a second perspective and a third perspective can really help us see things differently, adopt different mindsets, try new things, try things that we wouldn't usually try just because they're outside of the way that we look at things. Someone else can suggest something, but a lot of times it's about that self-discovery, about that looking within and finding new ways of doing things. But having someone to guide us helps us shift us. That's where getting help actually helps us even more than just a self-help book. Lastly, it's about staying accountable. When we're dealing with another person, when we're dealing with someone else who's outside of us, we're more likely to build that accountability. We can all be self-accountable. We can all have our boundaries. But when it has to do with dealing with other people, somehow we're more likely to show up. It doesn't guarantee that we'll always show up. We could say, well, I don't care today. I don't feel like it today. No one's going to force you. So even when you're getting outside of help, you still have to do things yourself. Someone else can help you push and lean against your weak spots. What are your weak spots? The person can pick them up. You know them. You deeply know them. But the tendency that we have is not to focus and persist on whatever it is that is coming up. Our usually habits are to run away from it, to freeze, to put it off, to look somewhere else, to be distracted, to do something else. But when you have someone else on the other side, someone else was telling you, you've said that this is important for you, so how can you make it happen? How can you make it in reality? When we're willing to go and run away, the reel is back in. And then we focus on it again. And then we work with the emotion, and we feel the emotion. The more we work with it, the more we get through. It's very easy when you're in it to think, oh no, I don't want to do this again. This is going to hurt. This is painful. But actually, it's through this pain, it's through this friction that we'll express ourselves differently. And it's like going to the dentist, you go to get your teeth fixed. It doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. But at the end result is a better result. Yeah. I was reading a story the other day on Reddit, and the person who wrote it was pretty much asking for a miracle solution. He was trying to find either the guru, the method, the messiah, the substance, the kind of thing that would help him change, that it would magically, all of a sudden, take all of his problems away. It would really help him be the person he wanted to be. I want you to forget about that idea, though, because the only way to change, to heal, to grow is when we have solid foundations. And the basis of the solid foundations that we can really rely on is being responsible for whatever is happening in our lives, for the things that we can change in our life. And that is also being self-accountable. We have to be able to get the responsibility, because even when we get help from outside, and no matter who comes into your life and who's able to help you, or whatever book or whatever course, if you're not able to translate that into the good old work, you're going to lead into troubles. That's why a lot of the sessions and the coaching and the mentoring things end up into actionable ways. How are we going to apply what we talked about? How is it that you're going to take these things away and actually do something with them? And how we're going to make sure that it wasn't just a conversation that happened, ended, and nothing is going to change. We can do all the self-help that we want, but think of self-help like first aid. It's the first aid. If you have a small cut, yes, you can do first aid. If you need open heart surgery, I bet you want someone to be helping you out, someone to be looking after you, someone who knows things, done things, been there, helped other people. In this episode, we talked about the benefits of self-help, the fallacies of self-help, and what it happens when we get help, how it can actually help us move forward. As my friend Zig Ziglar said, a lot of people have gone further than they thought they could because someone else thought that they could. And that's about having someone outside of you, seeing your potential when you can't see your own potential. Someone who can tell you that when you're going through this path, without a doubt, you're going to change. Without a doubt, you're going to grow. I'm here to help you heal, change, and grow. If there's something that resonated with you, something you need help with, give me a shout at podcast@insidetreasures.com. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to this episode. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. If this content is delivering value to you, if it's meaningful to you, please go to iTunes, go to Stitcher, and rate and review this podcast. If you can think of anyone within your circle, anyone who can benefit from these ideas, then share this podcast with them. Sharing and reviewing can help build up this community to give as much value as possible. Until next time, my friends, let peace guide your life, love guide your heart, and reason guide your thoughts.